Hey,
Hey, hey, hey,
hey.
hey. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you watched the
Mm,
Euros, which we will definitely get
mm.
into that. Euros are
If
killing
you're
the
not
game
watching
right now.
if you're not watching the Euros, you done
You
missed
done
it.
missed it, straight up, because it has been straight fire since it came back. I know I was longing when they had to take 2 days off because they can't play every day. These players are human
It felt
beings, whatever.
seriously felt like forever.
Yes, it did. But especially now working at home, it was like, oh, dude, this was my sporting day. But that was just me being greedy. So they are back, and they're backer than ever, straight up.
Backer than ever.
Tyler, how was your weekend, and how is your Monday going at this point?
Man, yeah, good weekend. Like you said, it's nice to have the Euros back. So that gave me something to do in the morning. So watched a lot of that. Watched a lot of baseball. Watched a lot of U.S. Olympic track and field trials. A lot of national and world records being broken, which was absolutely batshit crazy. Um, Euros today were holy shit, holy shit. We will get into that, but yeah, like I missed a chunk of the first game. I went back and watched the highlights, and it's like I kind of need to go back and watch that whole game, even though I know what happened. Like I want to go back and watch it now. So, Ronnie, how was your weekend?
Good weekend all around. Starting off with Euros Saturday, fantastic, and then just carrying through the weekend. Of course, today, mind blowing. Saturday, was still TBD on that because that game's still going. But yeah, it just me as a hater was happy to see the Clippers go down 3-1 to the brink of elimination. Although
True.
it seems like they're showing some fight even without two of their what have ended up being more important players.
Mm.
I still think they deserve to lose just for no playoff Rondo. I don't believe he's hurt. I think they just got mad that he yelled at everyone.
Yeah, it's
Tells me
possible.
all I need to know about that. But
True.
fun sports weekend. I don't have a whole lot on the golf, so I just want to knock that out early on.
Let's do it.
Just a couple interesting things. Um, Here's your final, and you can see a massive playoff
Yeah, yeah.
that Harris English ends up winning 31 strokes to 32. Um,
They only played one
and,
hole. It was really weird.
well, they only actually played 2 holes.
Yes. They physically
Just
played. Yeah.
for the interest of staying close by. I mean, you can't just go like, all right, cool, we're going to go from 17 back to like 2. That would
Just
not
draw a
make
hole
sense.
at random out of a hat.
Yeah. All right, everyone get in your carts. But it just went on forever. And Harris English did get the win, $1.3 million. That's nothing to sniff at. I was rooting for Bubba. He was coming out
Mm-hmm.
strong, but he just fell off. He couldn't really putt on Sunday. And that will burn you every time. But shout out also to the Mexican kid. Well, he's dual national, but representing Mexico. Boomer Sooner also. He went to Oklahoma. But got a hole-in-one on the 8th hole. So it was a PGA event, so people saw it. There was crowd officials, everything saw it, but it wasn't on TV. And golf tradition is when you hit a hole-in-one, you got to buy drinks. So
Mm-hmm.
he was generous enough to leave this in the players' media section. Case of beer. There's no video, but I promise it happened. So and then in parentheses, please wait until after play. So I don't know if they had how long through that playoff they had to wait to crack those beers open. So I would have been
The
pissed
beers
if
are
I got like 50th place and I was like, dude, I just want a beer.
yeah, the beers are still unopened, still actually waiting.
Yeah, we're still waiting for it to go final officially.
Yeah.
But hopefully, Bubba's been playing okay. Especially I feel like in the last month or so. But
Mm-hmm.
still a long road back. Koepka with a big tie for 5th. And, important for him, he beat DeChambeau, I think was like in a tie for 18th or something.
That's all he cares about.
Yeah. A lot of times I feel like it is. Unless he's just like killing everyone and going to win. He's like, well, at least, yeah, picture him. We were talking about this when I was watching the U.S. Open with the Baron. Like, he finished up earlier because DeChambeau was towards the final groups until he just had a
Right.
spectacular meltdown on the back nine. there's so much time for Kepka to just come back out there and just join the fans, like, jackass.
Yeah. Put on glasses and a mustache and just start heckling.
Yes. Cooks Brepka was out there, this mysterious new stranger, heckling away. But I hope that it does come to that at some point, but we'll see what happens. A nice win for English. Like I said, 1.3 mil. That's worth a little overtime, for sure.
Nice little chunk of change there. Yeah, I mean, like you, I wasn't watching a ton of it, but I was kind of following it on Twitter just when I saw, like, go to a playoff. All right, go to a third playoff hole. Go to a fifth. Like, oh, all right. Kind of, it definitely makes it interesting.
Oh, and yeah, like I said, they were able to finish. Like, it's nothing worse when it just goes on and on. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but then you're like, it's going to be too dark. Like, they're going to have to do this tomorrow. So they did finish, which was nice. But yeah, that's a little bit of a marathon, especially playing the same 2 holes again and again and again.
That'd be so annoying.
Hard to really get a leg up. I mean, testament to how much of robots these guys are. You see them just running out on the same holes, just 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. I know how this hole works.
Yeah, right.
One thing, just a show item that I do want to address, and thank you to the CEO for sticking up for me. He's released a statement here on behalf of the show. We fully support Ron. He's a man of integrity, would never cheat the game, nor jeopardize the image of the show and the wonderful team that we've established here. Nick Hernandez, take your report and shove it up your ass. That isn't the official press release, so I have to read that verbatim. But yes, I am appealing my suspension, so still here until all the rulings come down. Maybe at least get a couple shows taken off that penalty. We'll see, but still getting paid, so it's all good.
Yeah. Look, all I'm gonna say is this. I think Ronnie used that substance all the time. I don't think it's not cheating. How else is he supposed to get a grip on the mouse? If he doesn't have that on there, that mouse could go flying and take out some of the chickens in the yard next door. Like, is that what you want, MLB?
If I don't use that, I might. It's gonna be like this in the comments. Like, just
seriously,
like it's just gonna be a mess. Like, come on. So we'll see what happens. It's going through the appeals process now, but
can't pick and choose when you want to enforce something.
I appreciate all the support from you guys on social media, reaching out. The phone calls, the tons of letters that have arrived in the last 2 days.
Singing telegrams, gotten a lot of those. I'm not sure. Yeah. that's making a comeback, I guess.
On that note, we did have our first casualty, though.
Oh boy.
Suspended from an MLB game, the first guy, Hector Santiago. I think that is still being looked at because they then give the actual glove to like a MLB person for like an actual, I don't know, dissection or something of what is the substance on there. I know he said it was rosin and something else that it would normally be there, but they seem to look at it, and all the umpires obviously had a look at it. They took the glove and they threw him out of the game. So we'll see what happens with that. But, there was always going to be a first guy, maybe not the stat that you want to go down as, like the last out of someone's perfect game or, something like giving up a record-breaking home run. But there had to be a first. And so now we have it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what comes. But I did see some video of them handing it over to, obviously the umpires look at it first, and then if they think there's something out, they take it to some other official that handles it and bags it. And it was just literally a guy just putting it into like a little white trash bag is all it was. Which my actual first thought of it was like when that guy handled it, he had no gloves. So I'm like, well, there you go. There's the players' unions out right there.
Yeah,
is like
contaminated.
Yeah. Come on. Have we learned nothing from the People versus O.J. Simpson? Come on now.
You must have quit. And we have an update from the CEO. Just been informed that I've been fined for telling a certain umpire to do something with his report. So there goes our budget. Well, I mean, technically I'm suspended with pay if I do get suspended, whatever that pay may or may not be. But so we'll see what happens. And, now prayers up for Nick and his fight with the umpires union and the league.
There goes our budget. So that fine must have been like what, $5, $6, $7, something like that.
Easy.
Yeah.
Wiped out.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Tonight we did have the first game of the Stanley Cup playoffs, or Stanley Cup Finals, rather.
Yeah.
Not going to spend a ton of time on it just because Tampa Bay is doing what they do and really going to work on these fools. I had a thing here too. Let me see if I still have it where I could just easily pull it up. If not, we'll just blow it up. Oh yeah, I do. So this is kind of the story, and you see this a lot. And I mean, this one has some weird parallels to the last time the Canadiens were in the finals. But the numbers there for Carey Price, who's it's just like the Tampa Bay, we've talked about it, defending champions, definitely probably the favorite to get back there and win it going into these playoffs. But the hot goalie thing in the NHL, it's very real.
Very real.
And I think, that Canadiens team and Kings team that played in that last Stanley Cup were a little bit more evenly matched. Kings, I believe, were favored, but Patrick Roy,
Patty Roy,
similar, just like out of his mind hot. And I believe also in that, like, that was the year that the Canadiens were just winning like tons of games in overtime, like just like elimination games, even during the regular season, like they had a crazy overtime record. But Carey Price, yeah, it's like the, hot goalie versus the best team. So we'll see what happens. Obviously tonight, not working out for the Canadiens, but keep an eye on it. We have officially entered the finals, so always fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it was, Montreal's looked game for it, but yeah, Tampa's just got too much firepower on that team. Carey Price, he's been hot. The problem is, I have to double check, but I think I did see that this Canadiens team is like the lowest scoring team in the playoffs this year, just as far as goals per game. So, I mean, that makes it even as good a goalie as you can get. Like, you still need to score at least one. And in the case of tonight, you would need to score 5.
Especially against a team that, yes, can score that much that quickly. I saw pretty much most of the first period, and then I had to, get ready to come out here. So I've just been checking the score since then. But I saw they pulled one back. I don't know if they got that to tie it or if they were already down 1 at that point. But
they were, I believe they were already down 2-0 at that point.
Yeah.
They got that goal right before intermission.
Good time to score a goal, but
True.
Gotta be tough, even with the hottest goalie going right now. But we'll see. Stranger things have certainly happened.
Yeah, this is true. Look, this team came back against. They already came back once against a team that wears blue and white. So we'll see if they can do it again. Granted, Tampa doesn't quite have the history of failure that Toronto does. Although they did get knocked, they did get swept in the playoffs a couple of years ago, after having the best regular season record of all time. So,
hey, the Islanders came back to take it to 7 games. So
they did.
We still expect a dogfight, and definitely that first period that I saw was kind of the feeling out stage of everyone that wants to hit. Like,
just get it out. Just get it out now.
I just want to get acquainted with this guy. Like, let's just.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of guys taking runs at each other, so that'll get more physical and more interesting as it goes on.
For sure.
Thank you, Baron. You want to? Oh, wow. All right. Well, hey, maybe just get Price out of there.
I'm guessing that it's probably an empty netter. Just looking at how much time is left, I'm guessing.
You want to go look at the NBA first or hit the Euros? Because the Euros, I feel like there's a lot more there. But hit us in the comments. I mean, the Euros have been must-see TV.
Oh, man. Yeah, the Euros have just been, like I said, especially today. That's probably like the best like back-to-back game I've ever seen. Just amazing.
All right, let's just, since there's, like I said, a little bit less meat on the bone for the NBA, let's just hit that first.
Let's do it.
This was as of this morning before the Clippers-Suns game, which is still currently going on. I think I have a live score here.
Clippers up by 8 with about a minute left in the third.
Okay, so still up for grabs there and facing elimination,
Definitely.
so you know they got to pull out all the stops. Uh, Speaking of last night's game, like I said, really all I have to say about Saturday is that the Clippers just shot so badly, which I thought was funny, and then now they're down 3-1 again. But they're not dead yet. I just wait for the inevitable NBA Twitter funeral if they do die. So maybe have to put together another montage if that does happen. But they have this weird thing about being down and coming back. So keep an eye on it for sure.
I would say that game Saturday, the score reminded me of like an early 2000s game, except it was just like way more missed shots than an early 2000s game.
Yeah, exactly. Shots were going up. They just weren't going in. And then obviously, probably the most notable storyline there currently, you have to say Chris Paul's probably the most decorated player to not ever get in a finals.
Yeah.
So there's that angle. I'm sure he's desperately trying to get there. And if you're a teammate of his, I'm sure they're all trying to win it for him too. But Clippers aren't going to go down, without no fight at all. Intrigue in last night's game that Trae Young, who actually came out looking pretty good in the first half after a kind of a down performance in the second game, just a freak thing where he steps on the referee's foot, like trying to turn back up and down the court. I have just like a short clip of it. I don't even really blame the referee because it's just like he's trying to make a quick move back there. It would suck if this really turns the series around. Although I will say last night with how Middleton played, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because Middleton is looking like a star right now, and I was kind of
Middleton went Super Saiyan last night. He was going off.
I was a couple heavy sighs and shrugs when I saw on the same day that Kevin Love and Chris Middleton announced they would join Team USA, and I'm like, all right, we should still win gold. Don't get me wrong, but like, is this really going to be exciting? Like, oh, whatever. But no, he balled out for sure. I can't say anything bad about his performance, and I think the more it goes on, with Giannis just not being reliable shooting free throws. Shout out to the Atlanta crowd, mercilessly counting down every single one of his free throws last night, which I thought was wildly entertaining. It kind of is like shaping up to where, all right, during the game, Giannis is still like the X factor. Yes, one person cannot guard him. He can get to the basket. He can handle the ball. He just makes things happen by drawing people to him. But when you get down to like, okay, now we got to extend the game, foul him, put him on the line. Like sometimes with Giannis, that's a best case scenario because he's just so wildly inconsistent shooting free throws. But if it stays like this, I mean, it looks like Middleton could just be like that closer guy where, okay, now we have like a swingman guard guy that can hit these like perimeter shots, tough shots, and he can shoot free throws if he is going to get fouled. Also, big shout out to Holiday. Clearly just a bigger man than and like we said, he was hurt. Like Young came back in the game, but he looked like he was kind of carrying around the injury, which I think they said today is like a bone bruise in his ankle.
Bone bruise, yeah.
But he's definitely impacted this as well. And I thought just throughout the whole season, I think he's had over 10 assists in every game of the series so far. I'm not positive on that, but just making it more difficult for Trae, especially now if he's going to have this injury. It's going to be harder for him to like come off these screens and stuff that they run for him. We know he can shoot, but it's going to be tough. I would hate to see their best player not be the same because of this weird, very weird injury. Like something just naturally happens in the course of the game. If it's not just like a blatant like hit job, you're like, oh well, anyone can get hurt at any time. But stepping on the referee's foot, that's kind of a freaky thing. So that would suck if they just go like way in the tank after this and he's not the same.
Yeah, I mean, definitely hoping. Like, it sounds like he's going to try to play. I mean, bone bruise, you can work your way through it. He'll probably get some sort of cortisone shots or something before the game and go through that. So I'm not imagining he'll miss time unless it's like develops into something way worse. But yeah, I mean that does, again, that does still suck. But you mentioned it earlier. It's something I was kind of thinking about, and I'd kind of like to pose the question to you and anybody else in the chat that maybe wants to answer. Do you think the crowd, counting when Giannis is doing free throws, do you think that would actually help him because it might like find a rhythm that he can work with while he's going through his process?
It seemed like at first it definitely was not helping him, and I was kind of thinking about like how would they do this in arena, but just maybe like on random ones don't count at all, or just count
Yeah,
backwards, just like mix it up. Because at first it was weird for him, and it was definitely not like a normal like Olympic timing, like 1,002. Like it was just like the mob is just like 1, 2, 3, like, and it was
right.
affecting him. But then it becomes the same thing every time, so anyone can get into a routine. And he did shoot a little bit better as that went on. But yeah, I'm kind of like 50-50 on that. I just think they gotta switch it up a little bit, like just make it more uncomfortable for him. Because at first I thought it was like feeding into it, and he was getting like I think he airballed one in the first half that I saw, like totally bricked a couple other ones. But then he
Yeah.
sort of just was like, all right, they're going to do this every time. And it wasn't having the same effect. It was entertaining to watch. But yeah, like to your point, if it's going to be the same every time, then, that might actually give him some kind of comfort zone. I don't know. I mean, he's still just not a great free throw shooter, but
No, he's not. I'm not saying it's going to turn him into something great, but it was just like as I was watching, it was kind of I started thinking about the like, if the crowd's quiet or whatever when he's there, like then it's really just him in his mind. But if the crowd is chanting something like that, he's like, okay, like I could just find a rhythm, work with this, and then maybe that'll help. I don't know.
well, just tweak it, Hawks fans. Like I said, just maybe on the like fourth attempt, just count backwards. Like just change it up, or everyone like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like just do something weird, or just don't say anything. Like after doing
Yeah.
it for like 10 times in a row. Yes, the ref is part of the court, but I don't
Yep.
know if he's not on the court, if that still applies. If he's out of bounds, then I don't know if he would still be considered part of the court. Like if you
Yeah,
threw a bad pass and it hit the ref, but it never hit the ground, I think it's still out of bounds.
I would assume so.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, Milwaukee, Atlanta's just kind of been a surprise team to even be this far. Obviously, you see the lowest seed remaining, and with this total breakout year, like on the national stage for Young, if he is somewhat close to right, they still have a chance. But without him, I think Milwaukee is. I mean, even with him, Milwaukee is a better team. But they really need him to not be that hurt at all.
Yeah, like I said, I'm certain he'll play. Like I don't think he's going to be
He'll
sitting.
play, yeah. Just like in what capacity? So that's what we
Just
don't know.
just tape it up, shoot me up with whatever you got to, and send me out
Yeah,
there.
give me that good Chris Paul shoulder stuff. He seemed to be fine.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
And on that note, we do need to get to the Euros. We're gonna have a
Oh
brief
boy.
fight doctor at the end of this, but
Oh
Euros,
boy.
just a lot of talking points here, and the Euros were just straight fire all over the
Mm,
weekend, and especially
mm.
today, culminating with today. Um, let's dive into Saturday. Uh, Wales just coming up against again the emotional favorite here, Denmark. Denmark just went to work on them. I thought this was actually going to be a good matchup, but yeah, just it seemed like after maybe the first 35, 40 minutes, it was just going to be Denmark all the way. They just kept piling in the goals.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was weird. I didn't think Bale played particularly well, and Ramsey. I honestly didn't even realize he was on the field for
Yeah,
Wales. Like that was huge. The fact that he never got going, and yeah, look, Denmark. They were already a good team with Ericsson. Like no, like they were
yeah,
a solid team, but now they've really got something to, you know, him going down. It's not blessing in disguise. That's not the right term, but it gave us something extra to play for. Plus, again, everybody, unless your nation is in this tournament still, you're rooting for them because of what
yeah.
happened to
They're the
Ericsson. So,
neutral pick now.
yeah,
And even if your team was in this up until as recently as today, you might still be rooting for them.
Yeah.
Italy, Austria, though, I thought that was a great game.
Really good.
Italy, first time getting a look at them not playing in Rome. Still, tons of talent. But Austria caused a lot of problems for them. And it was not like oh, man, this young Italy, like, look, they get up and down. They're scoring all these goals. They still have the great defense. Like, that was the first time I really had to see them, like, actually work for it, it seemed like. And I thought that was, up until that point, like a top 5 game in the tournament.
Yeah, I think you're right about what you said about Italy. Again, their first game playing away from home, their first game with real adversity in this tournament so far. And look, they responded fairly well. Like, look, Austria punched them in the mouth, and Italy kind of shook it off, got back into it, got the goals. Conceding the goal was shocking, although I will say that goal, I think I had texted you, like, if that ball was, like, not put exactly where it was, it gets blocked, saved, or misses wide on the net. So, you can kind of give them a little bit of leeway for that goal going in. Although, look, first goal they've conceded in, what they say, like 1,200 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. It was some huge number, which, the MO of Italy is just do not get scored on. Even with these young attacking, like, exciting Italy players, that's their bedrock is, like, not giving up goals. And then, I mean, what can you really say? Yes, it goes to extra time. Chiesa's goal was just awesome, and there's no shame in getting beat by that goal. Like, that's one of those ones they say, like, probably a goal anywhere in the world. Like,
oh yeah,
that was just a genius goal. Taking a look at Sunday, R.I.P. Ronaldo, but the Czech ham connection rolls on.
It does.
Taking out the Netherlands. Netherlands just did not look into it. And you've seen this before with the Netherlands. They're always, like, one of the most high-scoring teams. Just never really, like, they threatened the goal a few times, but it wasn't like the Netherlands you're expecting to see, where they're even to the point where they're like, defense be damned. Like, we're going to score, like, 3 goals in this game. You better outscore us. They just seemed a little disjointed. And I thought Czech Republic just played a great game. Wasn't like, and I only say this, I mean, for the upset factor, yes, a pretty entertaining game and the West Ham connection. But the Netherlands really didn't give it as much of, like, I don't know. Like, it could have been a lot hotter of a game if there was, like a more consistent attacking threat by the Netherlands, I thought.
Yeah, it was weird, and I know, God, what's the name of their manager? Is it De Beers? Is that their manager?
Yeah, De Boer.
I know there was,
however you say it.
however you want to pronounce it. I know there was kind of a lot of shit given to him, and I guess, like, a lot of Netherlands fans that I saw online and on Reddit were, saying, like, this is typical of him. So, which I did see did lead to the hire him for Tottenham campaign start going because of that. So, look, if this is what he brings, I'm all for it. So
this is our guy. But
yeah, look, good. Like you said, good on. I mean, definitely, we're both rooting for the Czech Republic just because they've got the 2 West Ham boys and probably several future West Ham boys with the way that things are going. So good on them. Look, the Czech, they're just tough, gritty, two-way players, man. It's
There's
just
always that
good,
little
solid
tinge, though, of like, yeah, dude, I'm rooting for those 2 guys. Like, they play for my week in, week out team. But then I'm like, oh man, Europa League qualifiers, and, like, 2 of our best guys played all summer. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight.
Gonna be. Yeah, rest up, boy. Ice up as soon as this tournament's over, man. Because that season's starting pretty soon.
And Belgium, not really a surprise. I mean, Portugal is, technically defending champions, but Belgium has been one of, if not, close to, if a lot of times ranked number 1 in the world for the last, like, 3 years with the talent they have. Ronaldo was out. I did see Martinez had a funny quote about how to stop Ronaldo. He was like, yeah, I knew how to stop Ronaldo. I just told none of my guys even come close to fouling any Portugal guy in the box. It's just only going to score on penalties.
That's true. Yeah, that was an interesting game because, like, I felt like Portugal's whole thing was just like, win or lose, we're gonna fuck you up. Like
Oh
we're
yeah,
just gonna,
Pepe was
we are
he
gonna
was
fuck you up.
going
It,
full
no,
Pepe.
it wasn't even him. Like I feel like all game they were just take just like whatever, dude. Like if you're gonna get past us this round, we're gonna make sure you don't have enough players next round to get through it.
Yeah, and then at the end it got weird too because then it became like, all right, everyone's just trying to get someone else kicked out on both teams because
Yes.
Portugal was just like down to manhandle the entire time. And then Belgium was like, all right, now we're just going to start like diving all over the place, try to get these fools off the field. But I will say this in defense of Portugal, Renato Sanchez. For me,
There you go.
like, and I know about this guy he was briefly in England, but he's been around Europe. He's still only like 24 years old. And then obviously FIFA and everything like that. But I thought when they started having him start the games, it made a huge difference. I thought he played really good in this game. That dude is like a wrecking ball. He's like a little mini Pogba kind of like. He can go back,
Yeah.
take the ball off somebody. They try to box him in with 2 or 3 guys. He still gets out, like plays forward. And then like super heavy shot too. He had missed one in the last game of the group stage that was just like an absolute rocket. Definitely an interesting player who I think, a lot of times with these World Cups, Euros, guys raise their stock, and then we have a couple up buy or sells maybe in the next pane of today's games. But I thought he really showed well, and he's due to make some more money. So good for him.
So I did want to ask you about this because I remember you had texted me, maybe even been after the first game of the group stage for Portugal. What was the deal with Bruno Fernandes? Like for such a guy that is so dynamic for Man U, it seems like I don't know if maybe just Portugal's system wasn't set up right for him, or like or maybe Man U is just set up perfectly for him, like they have the right system. But like Bruno Fernandes, for a dude that just lit up the Premier League and the Europa League, nothing, absolutely nothing from him.
Yeah, and it's a different dynamic going and playing. You're still playing with like professional level players, both of those places, but different team, different vibe, and then obviously having to play with Ronaldo. It's not like the worst thing in the world because like Ronaldo might just bail us out. Like so, at least we got that. But it does take a little bit of a different chemistry to get used to having that guy on your team. That needs and should have the ball like most of the time.
Sure.
So that is an adjustment. But yeah, he never really like kicked into gear, which I thought was interesting, especially because of the Man U connection. When we talk about today's game, but let's swerve over to the games today. We'll start with the first one, which was awesome as well. Croatia came out, got the first goal. Spain came back.
Well,
Yeah,
Spain got the first goal.
They all count the same. One thing I will say is I did, at least I kind of felt good for the Spain goalie that was not what knocked him out because, oh boy, that was really bad. That was like something you see in the park. Like,
I don't even know how often you see it in the park though. It's like you see that in the park once in a while. You should never see it on a professional field though. That was just Pedri just kicked the ball back to the goalie and he just
took his eye
watched
off
it go into the goal. Like it was.
To me, it looked exactly like one of those receiver is already looking down the field and they drop like a ball they totally should have had, or like
right.
How did the first baseman not get that? Like they're looking to like throw home for like some double play or like get the guy out at home. Like
right.
You could see the second when he took his eye off of it. His foot's coming down to it. He looks up. Lo and behold, his foot just goes up just enough to just right past him into the goal. So, hey, if Croatia would have scored that goal, that's like a 40-yard goal. Banger.
Look, that's just add that to the tally of own goal getting the golden boot this year in the Euros. I believe
goal of the tournament. Yes.
I believe that makes 9 own goals. I think I saw something like the last 30 years of the Euros, they've had 8 own goals and they've had 9 in this tournament.
Yeah, own goals and missed or not made penalties also have been weirdly high, like for some reason. I don't know why that is, but it's been a weird tournament in that respect.
Yeah.
Spain did come back, but it was, Croatia tied it in like stoppage time to get it to the extra time. And then Spain gets the 2 goals in the extra time. Murata finally breaks his Euro duck. And people still could probably be all over this guy, but soccer's a weird game, sometimes, and it was a nice goal too. You see one go in, and then the confidence comes back a little bit. So definitely something that Spain wants to see for sure. And like Croatia again, I feel like is one of the more slept on teams there is. Like people just disregard that they got to the finals of the last World Cup with pretty much like the same guys. Like I know Modric, he's getting up there, 35, 36 years old. Still played well. He eventually came out of this game, but again, he is older. Croatia really did get back into the game with their substitutes also at the end, guys with fresh legs, and Spain was just kind of like sitting back like, all right, well, I think we got this, and just kind of playing like we'll play square. We'll just, when we have the ball, we'll keep it. But Croatia, with the guys they brought in, I thought they made all the right moves. They just didn't have enough guys. I mean, and you can only bring in so many guys too. So the class of Spain eventually showed out.
Yeah, it's one thing, we talked about it during the group stage. Those first 2 games, not only did Spain not have anybody that could put it in the net, they didn't have anybody that would just take shots. I mean, Murata would take, 1 or 2 shots, but like that was all they were doing. Now their last 2 games, the last game in the group stage and this one, they've put up 10 goals. Well, 11 if you want to count the own goal. So like this team that look, it took them a couple games to kind of find their rhythm, but now they've got it going, and they're starting to look like that team that people were scared, that like people were afraid might show up.
Yeah, there's just Spain, period. Spain.
Yeah.
Like Spain in a big tournament is always a factor, but just coming into this one, you're like, ooh, I don't know what Spain we're going to see. But it's a scary thought to think that they're just like peaking at the right time.
I appreciate the verbiage too of pitch. That's yes. Football historian, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh well, he is the football historian. All right, I'll give him that then. I'll concede on this one. And that brings us to the late game, which
oh boy, oh my God, this game.
in a tournament that has had a lot of great games. This is the game of the tournament so far. Just for France, reigning world champions, all the players they have, just the way this game went. I mean, everything involved with this. For sure, this is the number 1 best game of the tournament so far. And as you get to higher stakes, sometimes I don't even know how to call it in this tournament because we just keep getting great games all over the place. A lot of times when it gets to like the semifinals and the finals, then the games actually get more boring because everyone's playing not to get scored on, and it really tightens up, and you see like penalty shootouts, and it's like, well, do we know who was really better though? If they played this game in the group stage, they probably would have been getting up and down more, going for it. But so far in this tournament, knock on coffee table, we have not seen that. This game it had everything. I mean, this game had absolutely everything. Switzerland takes the lead. France just came out like lazy France again, like that we've seen so far in this tournament, just like disinterested, just kind of like, we're going to win at some point. And even at that point, I was like, you probably will win at some point, but like this can burn you. Like if it doesn't burn you now, it's going to burn you later. Like you can have all the best players in the world. They got a lot of them all on one team. But if you're not trying to like actually play and influence the game, you can get hit in the mouth like that. And Switzerland did that, scored early. I thought the game really was going to turn over when Switzerland missed the penalty that would have made it 2-0. And
big save by Hugo Lloris.
For about 20 minutes there, it's exactly what happened. France starts, enjoying more of the ball, trying to go forward. They score 2 goals in 90 seconds. The second one by Benzema was insane. When I have to frame him in these little video things, I don't think you could see how great that was. That he dragged the ball behind his back. Like the pass from Mbappe was behind him, which we'll talk about Mbappe here in a second. But so at full speed, the pass was definitely behind him. He takes his like left leg and kicks it around his back over to his right leg, and then just like totally calm, even running at full speed, just like dinks it past the goalie. France up 2-0. And then Pogba had it's up there. It's up there, one of the goals of the tournament. Definitely a goal that you cannot stop. I mean, there's again, just like he didn't really be mad at this, except maybe just come up and pressure him a little bit more there. But I mean, look at that. You just go pick it out. All right, let's just kick off again. If he would have walked it up there and just set it in the corner of the net, I don't think he could have got much closer.
That I had texted you, like, I actually give credit to Switzerland's goalie there, because like that's about as good as you could. That's about as good as that's as good as an effort as you could have made on that.
That is good as you're gonna do. He had a good break on it. That was just like placed right up under the top corner of the net,
so perfectly,
and just hit with a lot of weight on it.
Honestly, at that moment, I was watching this game at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and for a while it was just me and like one other table of like 4 people watching this game, and we were all losing our minds at this goal, and everybody was looking at us like we're psychos. Which, first of all, dude, you're Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, come on. Like,
what do you think is going to happen?
You really got to like try to mad dog some guys like yelling at sports. Come on. But at that moment, I was like, okay, this game's over. Like, that is like such a devastatingly amazing goal. 3-1, France, some of the best back line in the world, arguably. Like, you're thinking, that's it. This is done. Good effort, Switzerland. France is moving on. Switzerland, though, said, man, fuck that shit. We ain't trying to hear that. Seferovic bounces right back with another amazing goal. Beautiful cross in. He goes up, gets the header, puts it in 3-2. Honestly, if it was for Pogba's goal, I'd say that would have been the goal of the game.
Well, the way his first 2 goals, Seferovic, the first one I had texted Tyler, that indicates to me just exactly what the problem with France has been, because like Switzerland, yes, they have talented guys. They play in Europe. They've gotten to this round of 16. They're not just like a bum team, but France is France. Like, they don't just give up these like really good crosses and especially like really good headers with the back line that they have. Like, you got to work for all that stuff against France. They're really fast on the outside and they're really big in the middle. And they just made both of those look easy. So when that second one went in, not exact, carbon copy, but it sort of indicated to me like, oh, France just got the 3-1, and now they're just like, we got it. We're just going to sit back.
Yeah. I mean, he got that goal, and then what was it? I think just maybe like 7 minutes later after that, Switzerland gets the game-tying goal, which again sent me and the other table at Buffalo Wild Wings into absolute madness.
And that goal too, the third one with the assist from Xhaka, he just passed it through like 3 lines of French defenders. Yeah. Like the seas just parted. It was a great pass and a great move by the guy to cut inside and perfectly placed shot. Like, there was still work to be done. But like
one of those through balls that you do on FIFA, and you're like, that would never happen in real life, though.
Yeah, like that. You shouldn't even be in that situation. Like, Xhaka played a great game. I thought he was. People were saying, like, especially Arsenal fans being sad, which we are the sad Arsenal fan show of record, of course.
2 words.
Please believe that. I don't know if I have my sad Arsenal fan video, but there it is.
Oh, mate.
So
thank you, Roger Bennett. Love you.
He plays his professional soccer for Arsenal, and everyone was like,
for the time being,
he's just like, he's good, but I mean, he's never been like this. Like, he looks like Pirlo out here, like peak Pirlo. But some of that, I think, was just France, like, letting him do it. Like, I mean, he was definitely up for it. He was running back, breaking up plays. He was like dropping back further down the field just to kind of be like the guy that turned in the screw in the middle to, like, especially when France had that big surge of like 20 minutes, like, just survive this wave if we can, like, keep it within 1. It got to 2, still never gave up. And then he just makes that perfect pass down the middle to set up the tying goal. We'll see what happens with him, because he's rumored to be going to Roma, but I don't think the actual money has been agreed on. So if there's anything Arsenal fans could maybe look forward to, now you can ask for more money.
That's true, because you're not getting that money from European competition. We know that.
No.
But
And
so yeah, then they go into extra time. No goal scored in extra time, and I mean, I guess we can start talk about it now, although we'll probably really get into it afterwards. But Mbappe had a couple chances. He had a couple chances. I think two chances within like a minute of each other. The first one I thought he should have made. The second one, kind of weird angle. The goalie blocked off, and of course afterwards he got up limping. Who knows how real that was, because he recovered from it pretty quickly. But Mbappe just not. I think we were texting, outside of the runs he was making against Germany late in that game. Like, that's honestly the best thing you could say he's done this tournament. Other than that, pretty rough for him.
Yeah, I would say a little bit of a letdown, maybe considering, I don't know if it's a reflection of the entire team, but it seemed like France just assumed a lot of this tournament that they would be in the quarter or semifinals just by showing up there. Just kind of like the urgency or lack thereof that they showed in like every single game. Maybe the first game, I thought that was a really good game against Germany. And maybe you're just hyped up because it's Germany. First game of the tournament, whatever. But beyond that, I thought they just sat back too much, just like assuming that it was going to work out for them. And there is also something to be said. I mean, I know it was, Benzema's been out of the team for a while. He was banned for the team for a while.
Yeah.
Nice to see him get the goals, and, two nice goals today, especially. But kind of something to be said for, they did win the World Cup when it was Mbappe and Giroud, definitely the less flashy player, and they went Mbappe, Benzema this entire time, and now they're going home. So I don't know.
Look, Benzema did his part. I think Benzema got 3 or 4 goals for the whole tournament, so he did his part. But Mbappe just never came through. But like I said, no goals in extra time, so now they go to penalties, which like I've always said, I hate penalties as the decider for a game, but I totally get why they do it. I just hate that after all that time, it just comes down to essentially a game of chance or a pure guessing game to settle it. But a lot of great penalty shots. I mean, people were just absolutely burying them in the corner. Like, even if the goalie would have guessed right, probably not going to get it. In fact, I think it was the fourth one for Switzerland that Loris actually did guess right, and it still went off his hand and got through.
Yeah.
A lot of great shooting.
A decent height, a little too hard, a little too high, but the guy hit it really hard, so it's still hard to get like enough leverage with one hand to like keep that from going in the net. But yeah, even like the center backs and stuff that came up for both teams, like usually not your best penalty takers, to say the least. You're thinking like playmaker, attacking midfielders, forwards. Like, there is something to be said, which France did go with the strategy of putting your best goal scorer in that, like, okay, 5th spot, like where we cannot afford to miss if no one else misses. But I thought even the guys you would not expect to be, walking up there, you're always looking kind of to see like what their eyes look like. Are they kind of just walking up to it slow? Or like when the whistle blows, do they wait a second? Like, are they kind of nervous about this if they're not usually doing this? But no, everyone just buried them, I thought. I think that was the 3rd penalty kick for Switzerland, the one that hit off Lloris's hand.
It was the 3rd, okay.
And I was nervous about the 4th guy because he's definitely a defender. But even him, just like cool as could be,
that was
just like right in the corner.
Akanji, I think that's what the guy's name was.
Yeah, the guy with the beard. They just totally calm, just like right in the corner, perfectly placed. So just all good penalties up until one not good penalty. And unfortunately, it was that man, Mbappe. Just kind of like a microcosm of the tournament. I mean, you got to say he's the best player on the field out there all day, no matter what. Like, if it's a neutral, anything, like they start the game right now, he's the best player out there. And he had the worst penalty kick of anyone that took one. I mean, it was not hit like really hard to the side, kind of at a savable height, kind of like that one with Lloris, but it wasn't even hit that hard either. The goalie guessed right, and it's just a rough way to go out for a guy that was, early pick to be like player of the tournament. Maybe he's the best player in the world right now. As Messi and Ronaldo are getting older. He's way younger than both of them. So, like, if he's not right now, he's projected to be soon. But, yeah, just not a good tournament and definitely, like, the worst possible way to end a bad tournament if you're Mbappe.
Yeah, I mean, look, it definitely made for thrilling action, but like I almost feel like everybody, at least at the Buffalo Wild Wings, which by this time actually the nerds had left and actually like more people showed up that were into the game.
God, I
But
just came here to watch C-SPAN like I do every day for lunch.
Seriously, bully, oh.
Bully.
But like I don't know, I got like this weird feeling that everybody was just kind of like, as soon as he walked up, it's like, oh, this is kind of set up for him to not get it. Like
it was
almost
all
like this was
pointing
scripted.
to that,
like,
yeah. And I kind of have to do, like, yes, hindsight is 2020, obviously, but I don't know. You can gamble either way on that, I guess, if you're Deschamps, because, like, say he buries that one, they end up winning the game. If they make it through, and that kind of gets some of the confidence back. Maybe there's something to be said for that, but the way he had looked up until that point, I wouldn't put that guy fifth. I'd put him out there early, less pressure on him. He could still have the same court, just sort of like, all right, a little momentum back. Like, I made mine, but it's not all falling on me. Like, at that point in time, I wouldn't put it all on his shoulders. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I don't know. I've never been a guy that subscribes to the save our best guy for fifth, just in case it gets that far. Like,
yeah,
I think you kind of want your best guy to like maybe set the tone. Maybe put your second best guy, maybe your third best guy, like just in case.
As the better team too, you would think,
Yeah.
like, get your best guys out there, really put the pressure on the lesser team. Like, all right, we've just made our first three, like, no problem, and then figure it out from there. But yeah, I just thought where his head may or may not have been at there, that was kind of, like you said, like, there was a feeling when he was walking up to it, like, this is like perfectly setting up for this to be really bad for him. And
yeah,
of course, that's what ended up happening.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what he does. And I think you kind of touched on this in the last game, talking about when we were talking about Fernandes and Man U players. But how about Pogba? Like, it's so weird. Pogba just, I almost feel like maybe he just hates Manchester United, but loves the paycheck he's getting. So that's why he's still there.
I think he just hates Manchester United.
He's a completely different player when he puts on that France jersey, man.
Well, I mean, even look at him when he played for Juventus. He was really good there. That's how he got back to Man U for what I think is still possibly like the biggest transfer fee ever when they signed him away from Juventus. When he first came up out of like the youth ranks, he left his team in France because Manchester United like threw him a bunch of money, obviously for being, he was like 17 or something, and his family, like life-changing money at that point. And he couldn't really get off the bench. I think that, it was still like Sir Alex days. So they started playing him because they knew, he's on a youth contract still, like he will leave if, we've seen the history here. And he ended up playing out that contract. I think he only played like 4-ish senior games for Man United. Left, signed for Juventus, had a good career there, became, one of the best players in the world, obviously with France winning the World Cup and all this stuff. I just think he really desperately does not like playing at Man United. But the weird thing too, like, with the Fernandes thing, like, plays great at Man United, didn't really see him in this tournament. Pogba, to me, was the best player for France in this tournament, but everyone else just kind of seemed to be like drifting around, like, it'll happen, we'll win. So he was like the really cutting edge guy they had, because you would think it would be Mbappe, but as far as like just making things happen, it was definitely Pogba in this tournament.
One thing, and this thought actually just hit me right now. I know we gushed about him a couple weeks ago. He's not the big scorer, so you're not going to see him in those highlights. But I kind of I didn't really notice N'Golo Kante. Like, he's a guy that, like, when he plays for Chelsea, you can't help but notice him, even if it's just him tracking some guy down or running all the way across the field. Like, you notice him all the time. I didn't notice him for France at all.
Well, little torn on that because I do feel like, to your point about how good Pogba always plays for France, because he's right next to Conte. It makes everything a lot easier when you're next to that guy.
That's actually a really fair point. That's a
But
really fair point.
the momentum that Conte was riding coming into this, yeah, I probably would expect to see a little bit more of him for sure. But I do think it does make things way easier when you know you just have a guy back there that no matter what happens, he's just going to get back and like blow things up. Because Pogba can blow plays up too, but you know he can go do both. So it gives him more freedom to like, I can just like stay a little higher up to like make that next offensive play happen. But yeah, Conte still, by his standard, just for him personally, I thought he was a little bit disappointing in this tournament too.
Yeah, like I don't think he was bad. I don't know. I didn't notice him like I do when he normally plays for Chelsea. I think it is the point I was trying to make there. But I think you're absolutely right about the how him being there makes Pogba the better player, lets him go up, take more chances, do more on the attack. So that's actually a really fair point.
So one last thing. Well, and you know what? Let's just update. Yeah, we'll do this first. This is like a side note because I noticed this on TV and I thought it was really weird. He actually did not end up taking a penalty, I don't think. But the player of the game, actually man of the match, Xhaka, they have him a water bottle. Some dude comes off the bench and gives him a bottle of Coca-Cola. He just like chucks the water bottle and just starts slamming Coke. On the sideline before, like there is, say the penalties would have went on. I mean, there's a chance he would have had to get up there and hit him. But so the Coke water debate rages on because one of these guys is still playing, and the water guy. I ain't been seeing him too much recently.
I was gonna say, is it really a debate now?
That's true. Coke stock to the moon. Coke is back.
That's it. Coke is back.
My water stock plummeted today. God.
Yeah, I did see that. That was pretty damn funny.
But where that leaves us now, we have one match day in the round of 16 left. In the morning, the classic rivalry resumed, England versus Germany. I mean, so many good games come along so far, but as Tyler said, like this will just be a very English thing to do. With there's going to be a ton of hype on this anytime these two teams get together, and they just come out and suck. I mean, they haven't really like blown the doors off anyone in this tournament yet.
No, they haven't. I absolutely would not be shocked if this game is just like a 1-0 slog. Like, somebody scores on like a crap goal, like a crap tap in like the 93rd minute.
Just don't get Brazil like they did in that World Cup against Germany. Yeah. It was like 6-0. Neymar's crying on the field.
But look, on paper, it's going to be a really good game. But we've said it before. Like England hasn't looked good offensively. Like they've looked fine. They've looked decent defensively, except against Scotland, where they just kind of sat back and Scotland sat there with the ball. But I think England's going to need more than one goal to beat Germany. That like England has scored 2 goals in the tournament so far. So Germany, this isn't the best German team they fielded, but the thing with Germany is it's Germany. They're going to show up. They've got the talent, great technical quality, a team that, like Ronnie has described Bayern Munich is, they never change, whether they're up or down. They always play consistent, and it's consistently good. So, again, on paper, this should be a really good game, but I'm not going to be surprised at all, again, if it's just a boring 1-0.
I mean, on the name value, this is always a marquee game, especially like even if they play in like just a friendly game or something. It's always like, it will draw eyes. But in a elimination game in a tournament, should always be a big deal. I just think I'm agreeing with Tyler here. We don't know what kind of England we're going to see, and Germany, even if it's a lesser Germany, you always at least kind of know what kind of Germany you're going to see.
But I think the noon kickoff game is kind of going to be a sneaky fire game.
Sneaky good, yes.
With Sweden, who I've been really impressed with in the tournament. Like I kind of figured they'd be okay. I think they've kind of exceeded what I thought they would be so far in the tournament. Ukraine, they're kind of a 2-man team, but an impressive 2-man team with Yaremchuk and our boy Yarmolenko. Just those guys that can kind of score. Well, I won't say Yarmolenko can score from anywhere, but Yaremchuk can kind of score from anywhere. Yarmolenko, he's a one-trick pony, but what a trick it is.
He can score from where he always goes, and he could still score from there.
But Sweden's been pretty locked down defensively, so that kind of makes it the really intriguing matchup of like, all right, like they got to shut these two guys down, but that's kind of easier said than done.
I know. I wonder if, like, say Sweden just wins another game or two. Like, is this going to damage my boy Ibra's legacy? First time they haven't had him in a long time.
Oh, man. Nah, nothing will damage that man's legacy.
Agreed. Justin likes Switzerland and the Czech Republic in the finals. Mark it down.
I'd be down for that game.
He is the soccer historian.
Little Forsberg versus Sushek action.
Yes. And one last thing before we get out of here, just an abbreviated fight doctor, not really as it pertains to any necessarily, shortly coming up fights, but just in the fight game itself. So we do need to hit the fight doctor here. Let me hit the bumper here and then fire up the intro just so we can speak on the news that broke today.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is the main event of the evening.
the heavyweight champion of the world,
It's that San Diego loyal Texas Rangers souvenir bat. Woo.
That's good. But so yeah, there was some news that broke today, and actually, I think I see.
I believe we have a call in here from the Fight Phlebotomist also wanting
Let's bring him in here. Perfect
speak
timing.
on the matter on the Tito Auto Body and Used Tires Celebrity Hotline. Tito Auto Body and Used Tires, 2428 University Avenue. Tito Auto Body and Used Tires, where you do not pick up your car until you pay for it. Please believe that. Joining us on the program, No ID Justin, the Fight Phlebotomist. Justin, how are we doing this evening?
Fantastic. Bear with me if the audio is questionable. I am coming to you live from my phone, a la CEO Nick style.
So far, so good.
So yeah,
But yeah,
it sounds
as soon as I heard the topic of conversation, I knew I needed to be in here for secondary opinions for the fight doctor.
Oh, for sure. Oh, definitely. Always appreciate the second opinion here. But so some news did break today about an upcoming fight here. Let's see, Ron, do we have that queued up?
I have a couple of them here.
There we go. Okay, sorry.
Here, I'll give you this one here.
Yeah, let's go that one. So they did announce today that Derek Lewis and Cyril Gahn will be fighting each other in August, and that it will be for the interim heavyweight championship. Which is really odd because Ngannou is not injured. He won the title 3 months ago, so there's no apparent reason, at least initially, as to why this would be for the interim title. You can kind of see Ariel Helwani making some tweets here, which, by the way, if you're not following Helwani's Twitter, especially since he's not working for ESPN anymore, so he kind of doesn't have to shill as much.
Oh, it's free for all.
Because he's kind of going scorched earth on UFC brass the last few days. So
if you haven't been following Helwani previously, you're doing yourself a disservice. Get on that train.
Yeah. But now he's fully unleashed.
Yeah, now he can say whatever he wants because he's got to worry about ESPN bowing down to UFC for their contract. But yeah, again, it's just really weird. You can see here he says that Francis Ngannou, he hasn't backed down from any of these fights. He said, look, I don't care if it's Jones. I don't care if it's Lewis. I will fight somebody, but I need some time. Like he's got some issues he's going through. So he says, look, I don't want to fight in August, but here you can see he accepted the fight for late September. And then UFC just went ahead and made this Derek Lewis, Cyril Gahn fight for the interim title fight in August instead. When you kind of dig into it a little more, you can see that previously, the main event for that card was going to be the next Amanda Nunes fight, which, look, as awesome as she is, and we will gloat about her all the time, she doesn't draw well. Her pay-per-views are some of the lower drawing ones, and when I say lower drawing, I mean even compared to, like, UFC 1, UFC 2, like, early UFCs. She's, the personality's not there. They say she's the best, but they don't market her. Plus, you just know she's going to kill whoever she's going to fight.
Yeah, her fights last 60 seconds max, man. You're not paying for that. You can catch it, like you can fit most of her fights in a tweet.
Right. So that's kind of the thought as to maybe why they made this fight was like, okay, look, it's already in Houston, so now we can promote Derek Lewis's hometown, but we can't, have a non-title fight headline over a title fight. So that's kind of the prevailing thought as to why they're making this an interim title. I'm also kind of subscribing to the theory that Dana White desperately wants to make the Ngannou Jones fight, and he knows, like, okay, but Lewis is he's in position for the title fight now, so this is just kind of a way to get around that. It's just really weird, man. It's the whole situation is pretty screwed up.
So this is my problem, and I'll bounce this off the fight doctor and see what his response is. Obviously, I'm a Francis guy. I feel like what he's done over the last 2 years consecutively, from the first Stipe fight to having to go into a hard-ass camp and totally revamp his fight style, and I'm sure that included a lot of extra work, a lot of extra hours, and a lot of extra strain. The guy deserves an extended break. If that's what he asked for, like, give him that. I mean, he's dominant. He is the most dominant force in your sport right now, arguably. You have to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, this is just another, what are we at on the GoofCon to warrant this move? Because this is just like this. You're basically like, you're taking your best horse and you're crapping right on his stable, like it's just, I don't like the look. I don't like the way it comes off. And yeah, it's inappropriate, man. The guy's been dominant. He is the class of that weight class. There's no reason you should be bringing in interim titles and this and that. Meanwhile, it took John Jones to have, multiple car wrecks and drug issues before they implemented an interim title for that weight class. This guy's fucking flawless out of the ring. Like, give him the benefit of the doubt. It's pretty upsetting, but it's typical Dana.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Like, yeah, Ngannou, look, he could have had his title fight. Well, I should say his rematch against Steve. He could have had that probably 2 years ago. Instead, you're right. He did. After that fight, he had the bad Derek Lewis fight, and then from there he changed everything. Became the absolute just bomb dropper that he is now. And he's kept fighting. Meanwhile, you had Stipe, who, again, loves Stipe, but he was fighting once every 14 months when he had the title, and they never stripped it from him.
Right.
Look at, Khabib, that man retired, and they didn't take the belt from him until 5 months after the fact. Like, this whole situation is just, I'm with you 100% that, look, if Francis wants to, if Francis wants to wait a year between winning the title now, like, he's earned at least that much. So I'm with.
To be honest, from his performances, it would take at least a year for somebody to be on his level. I love Derek Lewis. I think Derek Lewis is great. We've talked about him at length on this show specifically. That is America's sweetheart, America's champion. You will get mocked by Francis. Now, you have a puncher's chance because you're Derek Lewis, and you have a puncher's chance if you're in a bar facing 30 dudes, 1v30, you have a puncher's chance if you're Derek Lewis. But that's not the point. Like, Francis has done more than enough to kind of establish himself, and I feel like he deserves the benefit of the doubt, man. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating because I'm right there with you. If Dana came out and said Francis needs 2 years off, I'd be like, cool. Can't wait to see who he kicks the shit out of in 2 years.
Well, the quickness at which this became interim title, I'm like, dude, it was like barely in March. Like, what the hell? Like, is he in jail? Did he die? No, he's fine.
Like, if this was a case, like when Frank Mir won the title, a couple months later, he got into a bad car wreck where they said, like, look, this guy's not even going to be able to get to the gym for another year. Absolutely. Take the title off and make an interim title. I get that. But again, this was March. He won the title. He's not out for any, a long apparent time. It's just like, hey, look, I want to take some time off. I've been pushing myself the last few years, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely. Like, I'm 100% on Ngannou's side where, yeah, like, if you don't want to fight till December or whatever, that's your call. Plus, you're the champ. You get to make that call. You kind of have a little bit of leeway there. So it's just the whole situation is just it's so bizarre because again you made the point like we've seen Dana not strip guys of titles, not make interim champs when champs are not defending for a long stretch of time. So it's just such a bizarre situation, and it's like it's disrespectful to Francis. It's disrespectful to Nunes because she's not going to be headline.
Yeah.
Granted, you can say there's a business side for that, which I won't argue with. I don't know how I feel about the Lewis Gahn fight either. Like, this is just yet another step where it's like, Lewis is like, okay, you've earned the title shot, but you're not getting the real title shot.
Yeah.
Now. You're getting
That's
you're
what
getting an Asper's title.
Even to a lesser extent for Gahn. Like yes, the payday, you're gonna be on this event and everything, but it's also gonna affect their reputation. That people not gonna take them seriously in some regards, like that they were penciled into this fight. Like Helwani says, like Lewis does deserve a title shot, like a legit one though. Not like so now does this follow him around? Like, oh, they just put you in the fake one, like to people that don't really know, like that he has earned his way up to that. And then Gahn, I mean, he's like Tyler was talking about, in the top 3 probably at this point, but still, and he just barely fought too, like last week.
Yeah. Over the weekend, he had a very impressive performance against Volkov. Just Gahn is definitely the most technically proficient fighter as far as his stand-up game. When you look at these top guys, maybe he doesn't have the power that a Lewis does. I won't even mention Ngannou because nobody has the power that Ngannou does. But he's very technically proficient. It was a great performance this weekend against Volkov. But again, just the whole the interim title thing just really bugs me. It's a really shitty thing.
That's the most damning thing to me too, especially like we were just saying. Like, look, how many times did Jones have to fuck up and still just out there holding the belt? Or
man,
3 months, 3 months. This guy's totally legit and like seemingly untouchable, and then it's like we're gonna just have an interim fight because he doesn't want to fight for. It's 1 month too long. Also, that's it. Between September and August, that was the difference. To nope, we're just gonna jump it, interim fight.
Yeah, and I don't have all the details, but didn't John wreck 2 cars and punch a grandma and get caught with cocaine? There was a number of things.
Stuff.
Just all of the above plus more. It's when I look at it from the business side again, I kind of get what they're trying to do here. Plus, August 7th, man, you're putting a fight against the Olympics. Come on, you're not going to sell anything. So what does it really matter then if Nunes headlines the fight? If you want to do this fight on that card, fine. It doesn't need the interim title. It's just I guess you could just call it another number 1 contender hurdle for Lewis to jump. But it doesn't need the title. Just let this be the co-main event. The Houston crowd will still love it because their hometown boy is there. America will love it because America's sweetheart is there. Although, like I said, I don't know how many people are going to be watching it because the Olympics are going on at the same time. But this doesn't need an interim title on it.
And this is also sort of one of Dana's biggest snaps always on boxing. It's well, they don't make the fights that need to be made. It's this is the flip side of that. When one person kind of controls it all, then you just make fights that don't need to be made.
I mean, the real question needs to be posed. Who's streaming that night?
We want to know.
We want to know. Me and Dana want to know who's streaming my fight that night.
Hey, again, like I said, in a backwards kind of different way, I do feel bad for Lewis too, because this is just going to take some of the shine off of what he's done, that he's put into this slap together interim thing.
And I gotta imagine whichever fighter wins this fight is just gonna probably throw that belt down and say, "Look, I want the real belt. I know what this is.
Yeah, I want the undisputed. I want to actually fight the guy."
This is just sketchy to me because I feel like this is the first steps towards boxing. You know what I mean? Granted, we're putting the interim title on it, but this is the first steps towards all right, well, now we got the WBC heavyweight belt, and now we got the IBF heavyweight belt. Now we got the Ring Magazine heavyweight belt. It's dude, you can't. And I understand the whole Nunez like kind of dichotomy, but at the same time, like it does not matter. Like if you throw Derek Lewis in a fight before Amanda Nunez, most of the people are going to turn it off after that. If you throw it after the Nunez fight, most of the people are going to make hot pockets during the Nunez fight,
Right.
and then still have a minute left on the microwave when the fight's done, and having to scramble to eat a cold hot pocket for the main event.
They're actually going to be devour frozen meals, please.
Yeah.
Devour frozen meals.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing I eat while watching UFC.
And it's just like at the end of the day, like Derek Lewis is a box office smash, for lack of a better term. Like people are going to tune in to watch that dude fight, and it doesn't matter what card you put him on, he's going to draw eyeballs. You don't need to dress it up with an interim title and this and that. I mean, shit. Look at the Diaz fight. Perfect example. Like that was what, third on the card or fourth on the card? I guarantee more eyeballs were watching that fight than the Adesanya fight. You know, it's like the names and exciting fighters will draw eyeballs. You don't need to hype it up with some fake ass interim title that you want to slap on there. Dana's such a moron. That's it. He's just a moron.
I think it's also sort of an indictment of like I understand it's difficult to promote somebody that's cleaned out 2 weight divisions because like how are you going to promote that as a real threat? But like that's still your job as a promoter. You're like, hey, look, I've got the number 1 pound for pound man or woman fighter here. Like you've got to find a way to promote that. Like I understand Nunez, she's pretty dull, although like ever since she's become a mother, she's been kind of fun on Twitter, but she's still pretty dull. Like you've still got to find a way to promote that. Like you can't just be like, all right, I got to like throw this fight together and we'll just slap a fake belt on it. Like you can't do that to make it a main event to promote it. That's just that's lazy promoting.
And like you said, I feel like both guys are going to be like, cool. Like I want the real one. Like what is this? What are we doing?
Now, what if they gave him like the old like fake like WWF belts that you could buy at like Walmart? Like that's what they give to them in that fight.
I don't even think it should be that. It should be just a military belt with like a crudely pasted sheet of lined paper on it that says interim heavyweight champ. You know, like
include the word interim
in crayon,
spelled incorrectly. Some of the letters backwards.
Yeah, I mean, let's present this thing for what it is and what we all look at it as, a piece of worthless garbage, you know? Like where's Rob Manfred to step in?
Exactly.
We need some strong leadership here, dude. Someone can make sense of this.
Oh God.
Give Derek Lewis the 24/7 belt. Like let's just let dudes like he takes all the numbers 24/7. Like now I'm tuning in.
That'd be perfect. I'd love that.
Well, we'll see whatever fallout continues to come from that, but apparently the fight is made for the interim heavyweight championship. So that was sorry to go out on a bummer, but we had to talk about it with the fight doctor and phlebotomist here through some kind of blinds that I'm not sure is peering through the blinds.
This is 1999 channel 99 Spice Channel right here. That's right. That's what Justin's on right now.
If you squint just enough, you can kind of make out, just what you're looking for.
Is that a boob?
I think it was.
It almost looks like one.
Can you gentlemen wonder why when I can't make it home in time, I can't be on the show? This is why. Because my phone is not set.
Hey, the audio's been.
Oh, the audio's been perfect. Yeah.
Oh, you're not picking up any of the cars driving by? You're not getting any of that?
No, the audio's been clean. No echo, no cars. It's just your camera went into scrambled mode.
Video through the computer, audio through the phone. We've cracked the code.
Can be done. It can be done.
Also, apparently, there's a home run derby going on in Dodger Stadium right now.
Hey,
3-2 Dodgers. It's all solo home runs.
Also, I don't know if we played the comment before the phlebotomist came on, but just to update you guys, the Clippers did force Game 6.
I did, yeah. Super, super great game by Pandemic P, by the way. I think he had 44. He's just really good game. He can't do it twice in a row, though.
No, I doubt it.
I
Maybe they
tend
get
to agree with
Zubac back, though. If they get Zubac back, then maybe we'll see. It looks like Kawhi is not coming back, though. He
Where's
seems far away.
fucking Suns and 7 guy knocking people out, throwing up the Suns and 7? You know.
Well, we'll see.
Hey,
Maybe the Suns and 6 guy.
What if that guy fights that Padres fan that knocked the Rocky guy out?
They got to get together. Interim
Dana,
fan title.
That's an interim heavyweight title fight right
I'm
there.
taking Sun fan all day, dude. All day.
He's got the clinch game. Like that Padres guy, he's kind of a one-trick pony. The Suns fan does have a good clinch game.
He's a little bit more multi-dimensional.
While the Suns guy's pounding more beers and working on his rabbit uppercut punch, the San Diego Padres guy is doing a cameo feature on some shitty white guy's fucking Padres rap Twitter album. So I'm gonna give it to the Suns fan for sure.
Fair.
You guys enjoy that late June sweep, man. Give them the rings now.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm going to the bathroom, so I'm going to sign off. But thank you guys for joining us. Watch the last day of the round of 16 tomorrow if you can, or tape it or something, because this whole round of 16 has been hot fire in the Euros.
And real quick, I'm hoping schedule wise works out on Wednesday, but we might be unveiling a new soccer historian. That's
here we go.
We're gonna focus on individual players since we're going into the off season. We're gonna shine a light on some of the bright and shining stars in the footy world.
Beautiful.
Player capsules.
Looking forward to that.
No,
That's what you call a tease, ladies and gentlemen. How can you miss it?
Professional.
All right, Tyler, you got anything else you want to say before we blow this thing out?
Happy birthday to the great Mel Brooks.
Happy Mel. Yes, Mel Brooks. Come on.
Word life, man. That guy, preserve him. He needs to live forever.
Seriously.
Well, thank you guys. As always, you know the drill. Keep the fire.